Today, I invite you to listen to a story that begins in the dead of night with the chilling sound of wheelchair tires grinding against a tiled floor. A husband brought his paralyzed mother home to care for her, an act everyone assumed was one of pure filial piety. Who would have guessed that after just one day, the wife would discover a secret that caused her entire marriage to collapse? Simply because she forgot a corporate credit card, she returned home in the middle of the day and stood frozen before a cold-blooded conspiracy being calculated right inside her own home. If you want to discover the truth behind this story, please listen and enjoy it right now. My name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old, working as an accountant for a garment manufacturing company. My husband is Mark, a civil engineer, gentle and a man of few words. We had been married for 5 years, living in a small 2-story house in the suburbs. Our life wasn't wealthy, but it was peaceful. That was until one rainy morning when Mark suddenly said, "Sarah, my mom fell down the stairs back in her hometown and is paralyzed from the waist down. The doctor said she needs a caregiver. I plan to bring Mom here. What do you think?" I paused, the spoon in my coffee cup trembling slightly. Since our wedding, I had met my mother-in-law exactly 3 times. Mrs. Eleanor Vance was a woman who used to own a well-known jewelry store in her town. She was strict, and her words were often as heavy as lead. I still clearly remember our wedding day. She looked at the reception arrangements and casually dropped a comment. "Is this all?" Does the bride's family look down on the groom's side? But hearing Mark speak, I still nodded. "She's your mother, which means she's my mother too. If she's sick and we have the means, we should bring her here." Mark looked at me, his eyes welling up. The way he squeezed my hand that day made me feel I was doing the right thing. I believed that having an elder in the house would at least bring more laughter, and the family atmosphere would be warmer. The next afternoon, a 7-seater van stopped in front of our gate. Mark helped his mother down. Eleanor wore a gray outfit, sitting in a wheelchair, her face cold and emotionless. I rushed out to help her. "Mom, let me push you." She glanced at me, pursing her lips. Thanks. Just 2 words, but cold enough to make me hesitate. In the early days, I cared for her attentively. I made oatmeal in the morning, soup for lunch, and massaged her arms and legs in the evening. I even bought a new recliner and placed it right by the window so she could look out at the garden. Occasionally, I asked, "Mom, do you want me to turn on the TV so you can watch a movie?" She would only nod slightly, never saying another word. Mark worked late, so I was usually the one beside her the most. At first, I felt pity. Being old and sick must be very lonely. But then, things gradually changed. One morning, I was sweeping the floor. She called out, "Sarah, wipe that table again. It's filthy." "I just wiped it, Mom." I said, "Wipe it. In this house, I'm used to cleanliness. Don't argue." I suppressed a sigh, took the cloth, and wiped every inch slowly. She huffed, and I just smiled to let it pass. Just like that, the small comments gradually turned into criticism. "The rice you cooked is bland. I told you to buy the jasmine rice." "The house is so messy lately. Too busy working to clean, I suppose?" I still endured. I thought the illness made her irritable, but a ripple of exhaustion began to rise in my heart. One evening, when Mark came home late, she called him into her room. They talked for a very long time. I accidentally overheard bits of it. "Mom loves you. In this house, I'm only afraid you'll be disadvantaged." "Yes, I understand." Her voice was so much gentler, far different from the way she spoke to me. That night, I lay with my back turned, eyes wide open. I wondered if she had never accepted me, but then I reassured myself, it's okay, over time she will understand. The next day, I took the morning off to take her for a checkup. The doctor said her condition was stable, but needed more physical therapy. I was secretly happy, hoping she would recover soon. On the way back, I asked gently, "Mom, do you feel any stronger?" So," she replied indifferently. "But you should know, a daughter-in-law needs to know her place. Don't let people gossip." "Yes, I know, Mom." That sentence felt like a needle pricking my heart. I didn't understand what she was implying, but I chose silence. That afternoon, Mark got off work. I recounted the story to him. He said, You know Mom has always been blunt, don't overthink it. But she said I was thoughtless. She said the house was messy. Don't mind it, she's old. Mark always tried to mediate, but I felt more and more like I was being pushed out of what was supposed to be our home. By the weekend, she suggested moving to the ground floor bedroom, because moving around was difficult. I rearranged the living room, cleared a corner, and set up a bed. When I finished, I asked, "Is this okay, Mom?" "It's passable," she said. "Change those curtains for me tomorrow. That color hurts my eyes." I forced a smile. That night, I sat by the window, watching the rain fall, my heart heavy. I just wanted peace, but why did it seem so far away? Then, a small incident changed the course of everything. That day, my company had an urgent meeting. I rushed out of the house, but as soon as I arrived, I realized I had forgotten the corporate credit card used to pay for a shipment. If I didn't have it, I'd be in serious trouble. I hurriedly called Mark, but he didn't pick up. Thinking it would only take 15 minutes, I drove back. The midday sun was harsh. I had just opened the gate when I heard a voice echoing from inside the house. Eleanor's voice clear, strong, without a hint of weakness. "Just keep pretending I'm paralyzed so your wife stays complacent. Once the savings account is transferred to my name, we'll kick her out of this house." I stood frozen. It couldn't be. Her voice was strong, completely distinct. I hid behind the door, my heart pounding, and then Mark's voice replied, low and cold. "Mom, don't worry. I've calculated everything carefully. She doesn't suspect a thing." I was shaking so hard I dropped my keys on the tiled floor, making a dry clang. The door opened slightly, and I caught a glimpse of Eleanor standing up and walking normally. And Mark? He sat there casually, smiling a cold smile. My whole world collapsed. I stepped back, tears streaming down. All the care, all the endurance turned out to be a joke in their eyes. I didn't say anything. I just turned and ran like a soulless body. On the way back to the office, I tremblingly opened my phone and pressed record to capture the conversation I had just heard in my mind. My hands were still cold. From that moment, I knew the woman sitting in that wheelchair wasn't a victim, but the one setting the trap. I drove back to the company, my mind spinning, everything blurring before my eyes, the road seeming endless. My heart beat erratically. Every word of my mother-in-law still rang clearly in my head, like a knife twisting in my heart. Just keep pretending I'm paralyzed. Once the savings account is transferred, kick her out of this house. I couldn't believe the woman I served every meal to, every spoonful of oatmeal, the person I bowed my head to and called Mom, could say such venomous words. And my husband, the person I trusted most, who swore to protect me for life, nodded and smiled coldly, aiding that conspiracy. I wanted to scream, to rush back and question them both, but my hands kept shaking. I understood that if I acted rashly, I would lose everything. That afternoon, I sat dazed in my office, staring blankly at the screen. Linda, my closest colleague, put her hand on my shoulder. "Sarah, what's wrong? You look pale." I bit my lip, trying to stay calm. "I'm fine, Linda. Just a little tired." But Linda was sharp. She looked at me intently and whispered, "Is it family trouble?" Hearing the word family, my throat tightened. I just nodded slightly, my eyes stinging. Linda dragged me to a coffee shop near the office. Sitting down, I told her everything. I didn't miss a detail. My voice was hoarse, my hand clutching the cold glass of water tightly. When I got to the part where Eleanor stood up, Linda was stunned. "My God, your mother-in-law is faking paralysis? Really?" "Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. And my husband knows too." I nodded, tears rolling down. "They planned to kick me out after transferring all the assets." Linda was silent for a few seconds, then spoke clearly. "Listen, you have to be very lucid. Don't let them know you heard. Act normal, as if nothing happened. And remember, everything needs evidence." Her words woke me up. I took a deep breath. Right. I couldn't just rely on words. I needed proof. I needed to protect myself. That evening, when I got home, I tried to act normal. As soon as the door opened, Eleanor spoke up. "What took you so long?" "I've been waiting forever." I lowered my head. "I'm sorry, Mom. The company had an unexpected meeting." She glanced at me, her eyes scrutinizing. I forced a smile, gently pushing her wheelchair into the room. Under the light, her face looked strangely gentle, her legs still stretched out, immobile. If I hadn't witnessed it with my own eyes, I might still believe she was truly sick. Mark was sitting at the dining table. Seeing me return, he just said briefly, "Dinner's cold. Heat it up yourself." He had never been this cold before. I nodded, silently eating alone. Everything in the house became heavy. The sound of the spoon hitting the bowl rang out clink, clink in the suffocating silence. That night, I lay awake. In my head, a plan slowly formed. The next morning, I asked to go to the market early. On the way, I stopped by an electronics store and bought a small voice recorder disguised as an electrical outlet. Back home, I pretended to clean the living room and secretly plugged it into the socket near where Eleanor usually sat. For 3 days straight, I lived like a shadow. Morning work, afternoon cooking, evening cleaning. Outwardly, I still said, "Mom, eat some oatmeal. Mom, are you tired? Let me massage your back." But inside, every mom felt like a needle stab. On the 3rd day, Mark suddenly said, "Sarah, tomorrow I plan to do the paperwork to transfer the savings book to Mom's name, so it's easier to withdraw money for medicine." I tried to hide my trembling. "Yes, whatever you decide, as long as Mom feels at ease." He nodded, a smile flashing across his lips that sent a chill down my spine. That night, after they slept, I opened my laptop and listened to the recording from the socket. The voices rang out clearly. "Remember, you have to get her to sign the paper. Just say it's a bank procedure. Don't let her suspect." "Yes, Mom, don't worry. She trusts me. When it's done, you'll go back to the hometown. By then, this house must be ours." Hearing that, I felt my head explode. Every word was a knife. I bit my lip until it bled, tears falling ceaselessly. But beneath the pain, another fire was burning smolderingly. I would not let them harm me. The next day, I took the recording to Linda. She listened and said seriously, "Sarah, this is fraud faking a medical condition to misappropriate assets. If there is more evidence regarding the documents, a lawyer can get involved. But you don't have that yet. Do you know anyone in law?" I suddenly remembered David, an old classmate, who now worked at a law firm. That night, when Mark and my mother-in-law were asleep, I went out to the balcony and called David. His voice was calm. "Sarah, keep all the recordings safe. Absolutely do not let them detect you. Meet me tomorrow. Bring the savings book and the house papers. I'll take a look." I thanked him, trembling, feeling both afraid and relieved. The next morning, I pretended to go to work early, but actually met David at a cafe near his office building. He looked at the papers and frowned. "This is very strange. This power of attorney allows them to act without your signature, yet it claims to be valid." I nodded. "Mark said it was a bank procedure. I didn't need to sign." "That's not legal. It's possible they forged the documents. I'll check it out." Hearing the word forged, I went cold. All my suspicions had now become reality. In the afternoon, I saw my mother-in-law sitting on the porch, sipping tea, her face still wearing a tired look. But when I walked in, she quickly tilted her head, feigning weakness. "Sarah, come here and push me into the room." I smiled faintly, trying to hide everything. "Yes, I'll take you in right away." My hand touched hers, cold as ice, and a creeping feeling rose inside me. Eleanor glanced at me, her eyes probing, then said, "You're very good. You take care of me thoughtfully. My son is lucky." I just smiled, but deep within that smile was a cold alertness. I knew this battle was only just beginning. That evening, when Mark entered the room, he hugged me from behind, his voice unusually soft. "Sarah, you've been sad lately. I'm sorry. I've been too busy to care for you." I forced a laugh and whispered, "It's okay, as long as you love me, that's enough." He hugged me tighter, but a vague fear crept into my heart. Was this hug real, or just part of the play? I lay still, listening to the clock ticking. Outside, the wind whistled through the door. Tree branches scratched against the glass like slender claws. In the darkness, I opened my eyes and whispered to myself, "If they want to push me out of this house, I will make sure they have no way out." The next morning, I woke up with a heavy feeling. Sunlight pierced through the blinds, illuminating my husband's face, the person whose every breath now choked me. He turned and gently stroked my hair. "Wake up, honey. I'm taking the day off to take Mom for a checkup." I nodded, lips pressed tight. "Okay, let me prepare breakfast." I went down to the kitchen. Tears involuntarily fell when I heard Eleanor calling down. "Sarah, make sticky rice porridge this morning. I'm craving it. Your cooking has been so bland lately." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Yes, I know, Mom." I recorded every word in my heart, but today I wouldn't let emotions lead me. I was playing the role of a gentle wife, a good daughter-in-law, but inside I was walking a tightrope over an abyss. One wrong step, and I would fall. After breakfast, I secretly checked my phone for a message from David, the lawyer friend helping me. "Sarah," I checked. "Your house file is being temporarily transferred to your mother-in-law's name. The power of attorney shows signs of forgery. I advise you to stay calm, so I can send a request to a private investigation unit." I read every word over and over, my heart pounding. Forgery, meaning the conspiracy had actually been executed. I breathed heavily, wiping my tears quickly. No, I couldn't collapse now. That noon, Mark took her to the hospital. I asked for half a day off work, saying I had personal business. As soon as the car left the gate, I quickly went into her room. The wooden cabinet in the corner was carefully locked. I looked around and grabbed the bunch of keys Mark usually left on his desk. A small rusty key fit the lock perfectly. I took a deep breath, turned it gently, clicked. The cabinet opened. Inside were some medicine boxes, stacks of papers, and a yellow envelope. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside were copies of the deed, the savings book, and the power of attorney. In the signature corner, Sarah was scrawled, the strokes completely wrong. I looked closely at the notary stamp. It had signs of being lifted or printed over. Sweat poured down my forehead. I used my phone to photograph every sheet, then carefully put everything back as it was. Before I could withdraw my hand, the sound of the door opening made me jump. I turned around. Mark stood in the doorway, his eyes sharp and cold. "What are you doing in Mom's room?" My heart stopped. I tried to smile, my voice shaking. I was cleaning and saw the cabinet open, so I was afraid a mouse might get in. Mark stepped closer, his eyes scanning the cabinet, then stopping on my face. He smiled faintly. "You're very thorough lately, aren't you?" "Just like always, honey." He was silent for a few seconds, then turned away, his voice dropping. "Next time, don't enter Mom's room without permission. She's tired and needs rest." When he walked out, my legs turned to jelly. I knew he was beginning to suspect. Every action from now on had to be doubly careful. And that evening, I texted David, "David, I have photos of the fake papers. Help me send them to the investigators quietly. Don't let them know. Don't worry, I'm on it. Stay silent for a few days. Don't act rashly." I closed my phone, my heart beating wildly. From the living room, Eleanor was telling stories to the neighbors, her voice weak. "Oh, being paralyzed like this is terrible. Luckily, my daughter-in-law loves me and takes care of me. Otherwise, I wouldn't survive." Hearing that, I laughed through my tears. A person who could sit in a wheelchair faking it for months, lying as sweet as sugar, could make the whole neighborhood pity her. And I, the victim, had to play the gentle daughter-in-law in front of the world. That night, I didn't sleep. I secretly placed another mini camera hidden in a flower vase in the living room. No one in the house knew. 3 days later, I received a message from David. "The police have received the complaint. They need more evidence showing your mother-in-law walking normally. Try to record it." I read it and gripped the phone tight, just one step left. That afternoon, I pretended to say to Mark, "Honey, tomorrow the company is organizing a 2-day trip. I'm going, okay? We have a new boss." He looked up, nodded indifferently. "Yeah, go ahead. Mom and I will stay home." I pressed my lips together, lowering my head to hide a smile. That night, I packed my luggage, pretending to leave early the next morning. But in reality, I took a taxi to the end of the alley, rented a small room opposite our house, and set up a camera pointing straight at Eleanor's window. The morning passed slowly. I sat in front of my laptop watching the small screen. 10 a.m. Mark went out, probably to work. Inside, Eleanor sat on the bed, glanced around, then stood up, removed the leg brace, and walked lightly to the table, pouring tea, smiling smugly. I bit my lip until it bled, but my heart was boiling. I pressed record. Then she picked up the phone to call someone. "Son," I hid the papers carefully. "She's leaving soon, don't worry." I listened, my whole body shaking. Every word, every sentence was evidence accusing her of faking illness. In the afternoon, Mark came back with a bag of fruit. She lay back down, pulled up the blanket, feigning shivers. "You're back? I'm so tired." He put his hand on her shoulder, soothingly. "Mom, try to rest. I'll take care of everything." I watched the scene with bitterness. A perfect play if I hadn't accidentally overheard them that day. Night fell. I sent the video to David. Minutes later, he replied, "More than enough. Get ready, Sarah. In a few days, they will act." I rested my head on the table, tears rolling down. Not from sadness, but from relief. After days of living in fear, finally, light was flickering. The next morning, Mark seemed unusually happy. "Sarah, I just secured a big contract. When I get the money, I'll buy you a necklace." I nodded and smiled lightly. "Yes, thank you." But inside, every word he said felt like a knife cut. I looked at the man in front of me, the one who held my hand through storms, now the one plotting with his mother to push me out of the house. I turned away, hiding a cold smile. If they wanted to act, I would act until the end. That night, I sat by the window, listening to the rain pattering on the roof. In my heart, a firm decision was made. No matter what happened, I would make justice speak. That morning, the sky was misty, and the neighborhood was still quiet in the cold. I woke up early, my heart pounding at the thought of David's message last night. "Sarah, be prepared. Tomorrow morning they will come for a surprise inspection. Act normal, don't reveal anything." I stood by the window, looking out, the pale light filtering through the trees, faint bird calls ringing out. A morning that seemed normal, but for me, it was the deciding moment of my life. I went down to the kitchen to cook a pot of oatmeal for my mother-in-law as usual. Opening the lid, the hot steam rose, stinging my eyes. I didn't know if it was the smoke or the memories I had swallowed down all this time. Every spoon of oatmeal, every time helping her to bed, every "Mom, rest well," all turned into a tragedy. The sound of slippers dragging echoed behind me. Eleanor sat in the wheelchair, her voice weak. "Sarah, are you off work today?" "Yes. I took the day off to cook for you, Mom." She nodded slightly, then glanced at the clock. "Then take the savings book papers to the bank for me. I want to check the balance." I startled, my heart skipping a beat. "Yes, I'll go right after I get back from the market." Eleanor narrowed her eyes, scrutinizing me. I tried to smile. I had to be calm. Just a few more hours, and it would all be over. Around 8 a.m., the sound of Mark's car stopped at the gate. He walked in, shirt neat, face radiant. "Mom, today I'm going to the bank to submit the papers like we discussed." I held my breath, my eyes shifting quickly. Eleanor nodded. "Yes, take the power of attorney too. Sarah, remember to give it to him for me." Mark turned to me, smiling. "Give me that paper so I can do it quickly." I pretended to be surprised. "Which paper, honey? I don't have it. I saw Mom put it in the cabinet the other day." Mark froze for a moment, then laughed forcedly. "Ah, yeah, Mom probably put it somewhere." The house fell silent, the air thick. I could hear my own heart beating. Just then, a knock on the door sounded. Knock, knock, knock. 3 distinct, heavy strikes. Mark turned around. "Who is it this early?" I looked at the gate. 2 men in police uniforms and a local official were waiting. The oldest officer spoke up. "Hello, we received a report regarding forgery of documents and asset misappropriation. We request to conduct a verification check." The atmosphere froze instantly. Mark went pale. What do you mean? My house has no issues." The official held up a file. "We have an emergency inspection warrant. Please cooperate." Eleanor turned green, trembling. "You're mistaken. I'm paralyzed." The officer looked at her, his eyes sharp. "If you are truly sick, Then prove it first, she stammered. I, I can't stand. I stood beside them, gripping the table edge, lips trembling slightly. Then I spoke softly, surprisingly calm. Officers, let me help. My mother-in-law walks normally. I have evidence. Mark spun around, gritting his teeth. Sarah, what nonsense are you talking about? I looked straight at him, my eyes dry of tears. Since that day, you and Mom have acted enough. But every play must end. I opened my phone, projecting the video from the camera hidden in the vase. The scene of Eleanor standing up, walking, pouring tea, making calls showed clearly. Everyone was silent. The wind outside hissed like tearing fabric. Eleanor's face was white, lips moving. I was just practicing walking. The officer cut in. You don't need to explain further. We will verify. Another officer approached, opened the wooden cabinet, and took out the file. The officer looked it over, voice stern. Fake power of attorney, lifted seal. Signature doesn't match samples. All assets are under investigation for forgery. Mark collapsed into the chair, holding his head. No, it can't be. I stood there, looking at my husband, looking at the fake paralyzed mother-in-law, feeling empty inside. No anger, no hatred, just a crumbling to the very end. A moment later, the officer turned to me. Thank you for cooperating. Thanks to your evidence, we discovered this in time. We invite Mrs. Vance and Mr. Mark to the station to work. Mark looked at me, eyes full of regret and despair. Sarah, I'm sorry. Mom forced me. I looked at him, my voice low. No one can force a person with a conscience. You just chose the easiest way, betrayal. Eleanor burst into dry, tearless sobs. She was pushed out to the car. The wheelchair rolled, the wheels grinding on the tiles screech a chilling sound. When the gate closed, I stood silent. Everything around me fell into a void. The birds, the cars, the wind, all vanished. I sat on the chair, burying my face in my hands. All the fear, humiliation, and pain suppressed for months finally poured out, but amidst the tears, I felt strangely relieved. Just then, the phone rang. It was David. Sarah, I just got the notice. The files are seized. The deed and your assets are safe. They will definitely be prosecuted. I smiled through tears. Thank you. Thank you for helping me stand tall. Don't thank me, Sarah. You are the brave one. Not everyone dares to face this like you. I hung up, looking around the familiar house. The wedding photos still hung on the wall, the unfinished rice on the table. But it was no longer a home. It was a hollow shell filled with lies. That afternoon, I packed my things, a small suitcase, some clothes, an old photo of my parents. I walked out the gate, the late afternoon sun shining on my hair, strangely warm. Before leaving, I looked back at the house one last time. The iron gate was ajar, the inside silent. I whispered, I once considered this a shelter. Now it's over. A gust of wind blew, scattering dry leaves. I walked away feeling light, but a void remained in my heart. Not because I lost anyone, but because I realized some people, whether blood relatives or spouses, could sell trust for a red piece of paper. On the way, I got a text from David. Sarah, when everything is done, I want to invite you for coffee. Not as a lawyer, but as an old friend. I looked at the text and smiled. For the first time in days, my heart felt soothed. Ahead, the sun began to rise behind the roofs, golden light flooding the small road. I squinted, smiled, and told myself, justice doesn't always come fast, but as long as you dare to stand up, it will never be silent. I rented a small room in a quiet boarding house near the center. The room was just over 100 square feet, with old yellow walls and a small window looking out at a row of hibiscus trees. The first night there, I sat by the window, watching the rain drip off the eaves. After so many stressful days, I thought I could sleep well. But when I lay down, the image of my mother-in-law and Mark's cold voice flooded back. Sarah, when the savings book is transferred, kick her out. Eleanor's voice rang clear, as if she were right beside me. I was haunted and couldn't sleep. 2 weeks passed. The police finished taking statements. I still had to go to the station to sign confrontation minutes a few times. Mark was detained for investigation. Eleanor, due to weak health, was temporarily held at the hospital for monitoring. I got that news through David. That evening, I was organizing papers to transfer jobs when the phone vibrated. The screen showed Tanner General Hospital. I frowned, hesitated, then answered. Yes, I'm listening. A nurse's voice came urgently. Is this Sarah? Mrs. Vance, your mother-in-law, was just rushed to the ER. The doctor says it's critical. We need a family member to sign for surgery immediately. I froze. Emergency. But she was just being detained. Yes, she had a real stroke. Blood pressure dropped suddenly. The doctor is waiting. I sat silent, my hands shaking. Despite the wounds in my heart, I couldn't turn my back on a human life, even one who deceived me. I put on a raincoat and caught a cab to the hospital in the pouring rain. Stepping into the ER, the smell of antiseptic made me dizzy. Eleanor lay on the bed, face white, a breathing tube in her nose. The doctor looked at me urgently. She has a brain hemorrhage, needs immediate surgery. You are the closest relative. Sign here. I held the pen, shaking so hard I couldn't sign, tears welling up. Despite the resentment, I couldn't watch her die like this. I signed. The surgery lasted 4 hours. I sat in the waiting room, listening to the rain drumming on the metal roof, replaying everything in my mind. From the day I first greeted her to the morning the police arrived, it all felt like a dream, real yet unreal. Finally, the doctor came out, removing his mask, speaking softly. The surgery was successful, but complications may leave her unable to speak. You should prepare yourself. I nodded dazedly. Perhaps heaven had punished her, not with prison, but with silence. A few days later, she was moved to recovery. I visited every afternoon, changing her water, wiping her face. At first, I thought I did it to fulfill my duty as a daughter-in-law, but gradually my heart felt lighter. Perhaps because, after all, I didn't want my heart to turn to stone. That afternoon, while I was changing her towel, she opened her eyes slightly. Her eyes were cloudy, tired. I hesitated. Mom, are you awake? She looked at me, corners of her mouth trembling, trying to speak but only emitting meaningless sounds. Tears ran down her temples. I held her hand. Mom, don't try to speak, rest. But her gaze made me shudder. It wasn't the coldness of the past, but full of fear. She gripped my hand tight, signaling to look at the bedside drawer. I followed, opened it, and found a brown leather notebook. I opened it. Inside were scribbled, hasty lines. I was incited by others. I didn't want to harm Sarah. Someone is behind it all. I was stunned, throat choked. Others? Who else? Besides her and Mark. I looked at her, trembling. Who? Mom, who is behind this? She tried to lift herself, breathing hard, lips moving but unable to make a sound. A tear fell, and she slumped back into sleep. I tremblingly turned the page. At the bottom, it read, Met a man named Leo. He brought the papers, said he'd share the commission if the house was transferred to my son. Leo. That name was very familiar. I remembered Leo was Mark's close friend, who had come for dinner a few times, and was also the employee at the bank where the savings book procedures were done. The final piece appeared. It turned out Mark was just a pawn. The real puppeteer was him. I immediately called David. He answered, voice tense. Are you sure? Do you have the notebook? Is Eleanor's handwriting naming him? Hand it to me immediately. He was once suspected in a credit fraud case. If this is evidence, everything will be clear. I promised to bring the notebook the next morning. That night I sat watching Eleanor sleep, her face twitching, breath weak. I pulled the blanket over her, whispering, Mom, rest assured, I will make everything clear. The next morning, as I prepared to leave the hospital, the doctor called me back. Miss Sarah, last night someone visited the old lady, said he was her son's friend delivering fruit. When he left, she had a seizure. We suspect something is wrong. I froze. Did he leave a name? Yes, he signed the visitor log. Leo. I was dizzy. I ran into the room. Eleanor was comatose, face purple. Doctors were injecting emergency meds. I rushed over, tears falling. Mom, hang on. A moment later, the heart monitor stabilized. I collapsed into the chair, cold all over. Clearly, Leo had come. He probably wanted to silence Eleanor before everything was exposed. I called David, shaking. David, Leo appeared at the hospital. I'm afraid he'll strike again. David spoke fast. Hold that notebook tight. Don't take your eyes off her. I'm calling the police now. I sat there, looking down the long corridor, where the hospital lights reflected coldly on the tiles. People hurried by, but I felt only one thing. This battle was not over. Outside the window, it poured again. Thunder rumbled in the distance like a warning. I gripped the notebook, telling myself, if he dares to return, this time I won't let him be. I sat outside the recovery room all night. The cold, white fluorescent light cast my trembling shadow on the floor. The beep of Eleanor's heart monitor was the only sound keeping me awake. Near midnight, footsteps echoed from the end of the hall. A tall man in a black jacket and baseball cap walked slowly toward me. I looked up. Under the light, his face was revealed. Leo. I stood up, heart pounding. He stopped, smiling faintly. Sarah. Long time no see. His voice was low and cold. I stepped back, instinctively hiding the notebook behind my back. What are you doing here? I asked, trying to stay calm. Heard my friend's mom was sick, came to visit. Is that forbidden? I looked him in the eye. Beneath that calm shell was a terrifying cunning. Stop pretending. I know everything. The forged papers you set it all up. His smile vanished, eyes sharpening like knives. Watch your mouth. Do you have proof? I pulled out the notebook. Here, written by Eleanor's own hand, naming you. Want to read it? His face changed momentarily, then returned to a mocking smile. So, she managed to leave a few lines. Clever. But Sarah, sometimes knowing too much is dangerous. He stepped closer. The mix of cheap cologne and tobacco made me nauseous. I backed toward the door. Back off. I called the police. He sneered. You think I'm stupid? I followed you from your rental. No police are coming. The door behind me opened. A nurse stepped out, startled to see us. Leo quickly stepped back, smiling forcedly. Just asking how she is. When the nurse walked away, he leaned in and whispered, Don't challenge me, Sarah. If you keep that notebook, you won't be safe. He turned and walked away, the darkness swallowing him. I stood frozen. He knew I had evidence. He wouldn't stop. The next morning, I met David at a cafe near the hospital. I told him everything. He frowned. He's reckless. Don't stay alone. I'll hand this notebook to investigators today. I nodded, clutching the hot coffee. David looked at me gently. Sarah, I know you're tired, but hang in there. Just a few more days. That afternoon, I returned to the hospital. Eleanor lay still, breathing weaker. I looked at her, feeling mixed emotions. The hatred seemed to dissolve, leaving only heavy pity. That night, while I was cleaning the table, a shadow passed the window. Tall, black jacket, Leo. I rushed to the hall, shouting, Leo, what are you doing? He ran. I chased, but the hall was empty. When I returned to the room, the window was ajar. The notebook on the nightstand was gone. I panicked. If the notebook was gone, the only evidence was gone. I called David, choking up. David, he stole the notebook. What? Did you take photos? Yes. I took photos before showing you the original. Good. Send them to me now. I'll submit them. He'll be caught soon. I sent the photos. Just then, the doctor entered, tense. Miss Sarah, Eleanor just had a seizure. We have to move her to the ER. I froze. I had only looked away for minutes. When I ran down, she was on a stretcher, breathing faintly. I held her hand, tears flowing. Mom, hold on. You haven't told me the whole truth. She opened her eyes, lips trembling, trying to force out disjointed words. Leo, not alone, someone else. I leaned in, but her voice faded. The heart monitor let out a long, piercing beep. I stood stunned. The doctor pulled me away. We tried our best. I'm sorry. I fell into a void. Sound vanished. Images blurred. Only her broken sentence remained. Not just him. Leo wasn't the only one. Who else was in this game? I returned to my rental in the rain. I checked my phone. David messaged. Police are hunting Leo. He's fleeing, possibly abroad. Be careful, he might find you first. I dropped the phone. Outside, in the dark, eyes seemed to watch me. I pulled the curtains, heart racing. I couldn't sleep. 3 a.m. The phone rang. Unknown number. Who is it? I rasped. A familiar, deep male chuckle. Didn't think you were this stubborn, Sarah. Think you can escape? Leo. I screamed. What do you want? Just what's mine. Don't meddle in adult business. He hung up. I shook, collapsing on the bed. He found me. I texted David. David. He knows where I am. I'm scared. He replied instantly. Lock the door. Don't go out. I'm coming. I grabbed a kitchen knife, sat under the pillow, waiting. Outside, rain fell steadily. Suddenly, a knock. Knock, knock, knock. Slow, cold. I gripped the knife. Who is it? No answer. Then a low voice dragged out. Open the door, Sarah. It's me. I froze. That wasn't David's voice. It was Mark. The rain pattered relentlessly outside, mixing with my racing heart. I gripped the kitchen knife tight. Who is out there? The voice behind the door was low, familiar, chilling. Open the door, Sarah. It's me, Mark. I froze. Breath short. Mark? Wasn't he in detention? I backed up, eyes glued to the knob. Mark's voice continued. Urgent now. Sarah, open up. I need to talk to you. It's important. I yelled through the crack. You broke out? What are you doing here? Silence. Then Mark's voice choked. I didn't break out. They let me out temporarily on bail. I came to save you, Sarah. You're in danger. Stunned. Save me? The man who plotted with his mother to harm me? I kept my distance. Explain clearly, or I call the police. The door creaked. Mark put his hand on it. The person behind Leo isn't a stranger. It's Mr. Harrison, the director of your company. I was shocked. What? Don't lie, Mark growled. I'm telling the truth. He promised Leo 3% of the house value if the deed transfer succeeded. I was just a pawn. Mom was tricked too. I paused. The image of my respectable boss turned into a two-faced monster. Mark continued. I know you don't believe me, but Mom's phone has a recording of Harrison calling Leo. They discussed the transfer. I heard it after Mom died. I gripped the knife. If true, this was complex. But before I could ask, Mark stepped back, panic in his eyes. Someone followed you. I spun to the window. Outside in the rain, a shadow stood in the yard. Mark lunged, turned off the lights, and pulled me into the corner. It's Leo. He found us. Glass shattered. A brick flew in. Footsteps pounded on the porch. Mark dragged me to the back door. Go. Get out of here. I grabbed his hand, running and gasping. Rain lashed my face. As we hit the alley, a motorcycle roared. A figure zoomed past. Mark pulled me to the curb. Did you photograph the notebook copy? Yes, sent to David. Good, he'll be caught. But we have to hide. We ran through dark alleys. I slipped. Mark caught me, fear in his eyes. Sarah, I'm sorry. I was stupid. I didn't think it would go this far. Mom just wanted assets, but Leo sold us out. I looked at him, mixed emotions swirling. We have to settle this. We can't run forever. Mark nodded. I know a safe place. I'll explain there. We stopped at a closed cafe, huddling under the eaves. Mark shakily pulled out a small USB drive. This is the recording from Mom's phone. I copied it before the police took it. It has Leo and Hiller Harrison's voices. I took it, feeling like I held a bomb. Suddenly, a motorcycle approached. Headlights swept the alley. Mark pulled me behind a pole. A voice echoed, Leo here. I know you're here. Give me the USB. I'll let you go. Mark whispered in my ear. When I run out, you run to David. Give him the USB. Fast. I shook my head. No, are you crazy? Listen to me or we both die. Before I could stop him, Mark ran into the street, shouting, Leo, you want the USB? Here. A gunshot cracked. A flash in the rain. I screamed. Mark fell, hand clutching a brick. Leo lunged for the USB, but I threw it backward into a drainage ditch. Police sirens wailed. David and 2 officers sped up. Lights flashing. Leo ran but was tackled in seconds. I knelt by Mark, rain and tears mixing. "Mark, don't die." He opened his eyes, breathing weak, hand cold in mine. "I'm sorry. My fault." "Don't say anything." "Ambulance." He shook his head. "I just want you happy. Don't hate anymore." His hand went limp. The ambulance siren wailed, mixing with the rain and wind. I looked at him, heart shattered. Hate turned to wordless pain. David put a hand on my shoulder. "Leo is caught. The USB has evidence. Harrison won't escape. And Mark, he saved you." I bowed my head. Dawn was breaking, light reflecting on the wet road. I whispered, "You betrayed me, but in the end, you paid with your life to atone." Morning light touched Mark's peaceful face. The interrogation room was bright white. I sat there, eyes red. On the table, the USB in an evidence bag. Mark died for this. David sat opposite with 2 officers. "Sarah, ready?" "We'll open it." I nodded. An officer plugged it in. 5 files. He played the first. Leo's voice clear. "Rest assured, I'll handle it. Once she signs, the deed transfers. Don't forget my percent." Then, a deep, authoritative voice. "Do it clean. Don't let that accountant girl suspect. If she speaks up, it's trouble." I froze. That was Mr. Harrison, my director. Heart pounding. Second file. "Leo, urgent. I'm worried. Eleanor is hesitating. She says she cares about the daughter-in-law." Harrison laughed coldly. "Then tell her to fake paralysis. Once the girl pities her, she'll lose focus." I covered my mouth, tears flowing. It was all him. David squeezed my hand. "Stay strong." Third file. Mark's voice. "Mr. Harrison, I'm scared." "She suspects." "Worry about what? She's a lowly accountant. Stick to the plan. When it's done, I'll fire her. Clean slate." His voice was casual, like discussing business. I felt suffocated. Years of dedication, viewing him as a second father, and I was just prey. Final file. Scuffling sounds. "You're crazy, Harrison. My mom doesn't deserve this." Mark's voice, angry. "Too late. You profited. Now you want to be good?" A thud, heavy breathing. "Finish it. Leave no loose ends." The room was silent. My heart broke. Mark, the weak man, had dared to fight the mastermind in his final moments. He didn't die in vain. An officer stood. "This is enough to indict Harrison for fraud and incitement." I bowed my head, tears wetting my hands. David draped a coat over me. "You're strong, Sarah. Do you think they'll pay?" Justice may be late, but never absent. 3 days later, news broke. Director of Harrison Construction arrested. The city buzzed. Colleagues messaged, but I ignored them. I sat in my rental, watching the rain. David visited with flowers. "Leave the city for a while." Too many sad memories. I nodded. "I'll go to my mom's hometown. Maybe I'll feel alive there." When you're calm, remember someone always believes in you. I smiled. A real smile. A week later, I returned to the quiet countryside. Red dirt roads, tall areca palms, crickets chirping. My mom's small house by the river. She welcomed me with a gentle smile, holding my hand. "Good to be home. The wrongdoers are punished. Live for yourself now." I sat down, smelling the earth, the kitchen smoke. Lightness returned. That night, I checked email. David wrote, "Case closed. Harrison confessed. Leo admitted everything. Your assets are returned. Mark is recorded as a witness assisting the prosecution. His honor is cleared." I cried. Amidst the darkness, small lights of redemption existed. I took out an old wedding photo. Mark smiling gently. I touched his face. "Rest assured, I'll live on for you." Outside, night wind carried the scent of areca flowers. The sky was dark, rain gone, moon rising. Peace was returning. My life turned a page. No lies, no tears, just truth and faith. I listened to the river, whispering like Mark's voice. Sometimes to be free, you must lose everything to know what remains. I smiled, tears falling again, but peaceful ones. The countryside sky was unusually gloomy. Clouds thick, wind howling. I was hanging laundry when the mailman stopped. "Miss Sarah, letter from prison number 7. Prison 7? I took the envelope. Handwriting familiar. Sender, Gwen Van Harrison. Mr. Harrison. I stood silent. Wind flapped the letter. I went inside, sat down, and opened it. 2 handwritten pages. Sarah, if you read this, I'm probably sentenced. I don't expect forgiveness. But before I leave this life, I want to say it all. I didn't intend to harm you. At first, I just wanted to help Mark's mom transfer assets to avoid legal trouble. But when Leo intervened, it spiraled. He held a secret of mine. A secret that would ruin the company. Leo threatened me to sign fake files. When you suspected, he said he'd handle you. I stopped him. He laughed, said if I didn't want to lose everything, stay silent. I did. And that silence killed an innocent man, your husband. Sarah, one more thing. The person who introduced Leo to me isn't a stranger. It's Mark's biological father. I froze. Mark's father? The man I heard died years ago? The letter continued. Mark's dad, Mr. Nam, didn't die, as Eleanor said. He went north for business, changed his name to hide from debt. Recently, he returned, suggesting fake deed scams to clear debt. When I knew it involved you, I wanted to refuse. But he said, she's just Mark's wife, no blood relation, why feel guilty? I hesitated. That greed led to tragedy. I hope you understand. It wasn't just Leo. Mr. Nam was behind it. I dropped the letter. My heart shattered. The father-in-law I mourned was alive, and the source of the tragedy. I sat motionless. Rain fell heavier on the roof. I stood up. I couldn't rest. I had to know the final truth. Next day, I gave the letter to David. He frowned. If true, there's one link left. Will you help me find him? I've gone this far, David said. 2 days later, police confirmed Nguyen Van Nam, former director of a Northern Materials branch, missing since 2015, was Mark's father. His death file was forged by Harrison. A closed circle. 3 days later, police called. Miss Sarah, we found Mr. Nam in a border province, hiding in an old warehouse. We're arresting him. Want to identify? I'll go. The next morning, I traveled 200 kilometers. An old cold warehouse. Mr. Nam handcuffed. White hair, gaunt face, cold eyes. He looked at me surprised. You're Sarah. Yes, the one you wanted to strip of everything. He laughed hoarsely. I just wanted to provide for my son. He was weak. You were too smart, too hard. Men fear women like you. Fear or envy? I asked, teary-eyed. Both. I clenched my fists. Do you know, your selfishness killed your son. He died trying to save me. Nam's face fell. He's dead? I nodded. He was silent. A tear fell. He laughed bitterly. So I only have sins left. Police took him. I watched, feeling empty. No victory. Just tragedy fueled by greed. On the way back, David drove silently. David, I asked, can people change? Yes, but only if they face their mistakes. Those who hide are just shadows. I nodded. As we turned a corner, the sun rose, warm light on the wet road. Darkness was closing, but the scar remained. Truth can be hidden, justice never dies. I returned to the countryside, heart lighter but empty. I dreamed of Mark standing in the rain, smiling, then vanishing. I thought it was over, but fate wasn't done. One afternoon, a delivery arrived. Package for Miss Sarah from David Law Office. I opened it. A small wooden box, a letter, and a silver USB. David wrote, Sarah, reviewing the case, police found another drive sent to my office. Sender, Mark, sent 3 days before he died. I checked it. It's for you. I froze. Mark. I plugged the USB in. Folder. To Sarah. I clicked. Mark's voice, raspy but warm. Sarah, if you hear this, I'm probably gone. I cried instantly. I know you might hate me. I deserve it. I was wrong to listen to Mom. But I swear I never meant to harm you. I just wanted to keep the house. I found out Harrison and my dad, who I thought was dead, were behind it. I wanted to go to police, but Leo threatened me. I'm sending this just in case. Use it to protect yourself. Know that I loved you till the end. Video played, shaky phone footage. Harrison and an old man Nam in a cafe. Harrison, when done, I pull capital. Do it fast. Your daughter-in-law is obedient, easy to trick. Nam, as long as there's money, I don't care if they split. My life is ruined, as long as Mark has money to hold his head up. Head up on others' bones? Video ended. I gripped the table. Mark knew. He tried to fix it. He died, choosing the right side. Mark, why didn't you say so sooner? Next afternoon, I took the USB to police. They confirmed it matched Harrison's confession. David said, Mark saved you again. Weeks later, the Central Hospital called. Miss Sarah, we have Mark's ashes per family wish. You can collect them. I took white flowers to the hill by the river. I placed the urn, lit incense. Rest assured, it's clear now. I don't hate anyone. I'll live as you taught, kindly. Wind blew white petals up. I looked up. Thank you for loving me. David drove me back. Will you return to the city? Not yet. I want to stay here. I hear him closer here. David nodded. I leaned on the window. In the dark, I heard Mark whisper, Sarah, thank you for believing in me. I smiled. Rain fell, but inside was sunshine. After the ceremony, I left the countryside, bus to the city, not for the old life but a new one. Foggy morning, small bag, Mark's photo, Mom's handkerchief. Goodbye all, I live for me now. Bus rolled. I sat by the window. Fields, mud smell. Next to me, a man in his 30s, tall, kind eyes, reading an old book. Going far? To the city, I said. Me too. Same path. Simple words, but my heart stirred. I'm James. Work at a rehab center in the city. You? I'm Sarah. Just left home. Don't know where to stay. He nodded. Everyone has a reason to leave. Just don't let the past hold you. I stunned. Maybe you're right. He looked out. I saw many despair from loss. At my center, a woman lost her family in an accident. Didn't speak for a year. Opened up after receiving a delayed letter from her late husband. What happened to her? She learned to forgive herself. Now she volunteers, helping others. I cried. Fate put me next to him. James handed me a tissue. You have sad eyes but light in them. Keep it. Thank you. I thought I died with the past. Halfway, it rained. James gave me his jacket. It's cold. You're too kind. No, those who pass storms deserve warmth. I turned away, heart warm. At the station, James gave me a card. If you need work, come to my center. We need strong hearts. Phoenix Center. Mental and physical recovery for trauma. You'd fit in. Everyone there lost something but is learning to love life again. I thanked him. As I walked, he called, Sarah. I believe Mark would smile seeing you start over. I froze, turned back. He was gone in the rain. I gripped the card, a sign. A month later, I joined Phoenix Center. Listening, sharing, healing. I told my story calmly. James was there, supportive. You walked through hell, you deserve light. End of the month, standing outside the center. Wind chime rang. I heard Mark, Sarah, thank you for living for me. I know. I found peace. Spring morning. Center full of sun. I drank tea, watching meditation. Peace. James brought a pot. White jasmine. Purity and new beginnings. I thought there were no beginnings left. We placed it in the garden. Jasmine scent. Pain vanished. I met many like me. We shared, cried, laughed. This was my mission. Healing. News closed. Harrison 15 years. Nam 10 years. Eleanor alive but mute. I visited her. She cried, holding my hand. I don't hate you. Live in peace. She nodded. Mark gone but not lost. His courage lives in me. Love is daring to do right. I kept the wedding photo. Every morning I smiled. I'm living well. James never mentioned romance. Just a friend, a pillar. Broken people cherish peace. Suffering is bitter medicine, sweet aftertaste. Summer. Tribute ceremony. James called my name, gave white flowers. Some save others and themselves. Thank you, Sarah, for teaching forgiveness. I bowed, teary. Finally reborn. That night, alone in the yard, jasmine scent, I looked at the stars. Mark, you see? I finished the painful road. No tears, no resentment, thankful for life, even the pain. Wind blew jasmine petals. I heard him whisper, I know. I'm proud of you. I smiled, eyes closed. No more fear, only gratitude. Life takes much to teach the value of peace. I looked at the white jasmine. Moonlit. I whispered, thank you, life, for letting me live, love, and forgive. Wind blew. My journey closed. No hate, no regret. Just a woman named Sarah, peaceful, smiling gently, heart full of light.